coast or a snowy mountain road to be in paradise. Don't need diamonds or gold, all the pictures we've been sold. Paradise, it's a simple state of mind. It's the people by your side, but only you can find paradise.
Back at the same lake that I was at in my last video, but this time we have completely different conditions because it has snowed a bit since my last video. It is now pretty much a winter wonderland, and before this all melts, because it will melt and we'll get some warmer temps and then in and out of snow and fall weather, I wanted to make sure I captured the fall colors with that layer of snow, and this lake is one of the best places to do it. The downfall of this lake, though, is that the docks, which I shoot at a lot, there's two of them, I've talked about them before, I shoot at them all the time, and once they have that layer of snow and it sticks, you pretty much cannot avoid all the footprints of other people walking on them, and I find that makes for the messiest photos is docks with a layer of snow and footprints on them. So we aren't shooting those today. I'm actually standing on one of the docks because I'm shooting another scene that I can really only shoot if I stand on one of the docks, but I had to be a little bit careful because it rocks. So if I'm doing a long exposure, which I am going to be doing, then I might mess that up if I even breathe while I'm taking that image. It is a beautiful morning. It's not really cold. It's a little bit chilly, but not as cold as it was the past couple of days. I did not bring Ollie out this morning because he just looked too nice and cozy, and I prefer, if it's this kind of temperature and with the snow on the ground, I prefer to have him out at sunset because it's usually a little bit warmer. Sunrise definitely much colder. Color in the sky right now, it's odd. It's like it's very, very slow to kind of appear. It seems like it might explode, but it also seems like it might just fizzle out. It's like at that point where you can see the tint of the color from the sunrise just starting to appear in the clouds, and it'll either go either way. But we do have some nice reflections, so what I'm going to do is definitely focus on that, and then after I shoot this, when more light comes up, there is another scene I was kind of working on last time. It has a lot of leaves in the water, and when the water is still, the leaves don't move, and I was thinking it's in a really actually garbage kind of location to shoot it, so it's a bit tricky, but I was thinking about going off and shooting that after and trying to combine all of the snow with very yellow leaves in the foreground. So this is pretty much my composition here. It is a basic reflection. So you can see the color on the left is now starting to appear. And you can see like that little slight break in the horizon right there, and then all the colors starting to come up. So hopefully something happens with that. I'm set up, I'm ready to go. All I have to do is just press the button and a long exposure will come, and we will get hopefully a lot of warmth on this side and then a lot of cool colors on this side. So, of course, as always, more clouds have rolled in, and that has now basically killed the chance of any of that color coming through. So what's going to happen is the sky is just going to stay this sort of blue color until basically more light comes up, and then it's going to turn gray. But I'm still going to shoot the scene that I'm shooting because it has very, very nice symmetry with the reflection. It's just when I edit it and I put it together, I might have to really work to pull some warmth out of where the sun would be coming up. But other than that, it's going to be a pretty moody shot, saved by the reflection, definitely. This is one of the challenges of sunrise and sunset, is you just don't know what the clouds are going to do. It's almost like 8 a.m. The sun still isn't up. I kind of forget around this time of the year that sunrise is really late until we have our time change, which is coming up soon, which sucks. I hate the time change. But once I get that shot, then that is when I'm going to move on, and I'm just going to try and focus on foregrounds only with whatever the background is given to me because it's not colorful. My main focus is definitely going to be the foreground. I really want to try and get a shot in this very, very tricky spot where the leaves are so pushed up against the shoreline, but they're submerged, and it looks really, really cool because you just get to, it's like you're looking in glass at all of these really brightly colored yellow leaves. They're probably orange by now because last week they were a little bit more vibrant, but I want to work that scene very badly actually. I was thinking about it last week, but it's hard. The shoreline, how it totally throws the rest of like the background off, is very difficult to work with. So I'm gonna have to play around with different compositions when I am over there.
There's beauty to be found in the quiet of this house. It's paradise with your hair.
So as I was changing locations, I was walking along the beach and I noticed that the fresh snowfall that we've had over the last few days has made this pretty cool pattern along the shoreline. It's like kind of melted, but not. It doesn't look disturbed. It actually makes a really, really good foreground if you can kind of figure out the patterns and find a pleasing composition in it. So I've stopped here and I'm shooting that right now. I'm doing a long exposure, shooting vertically. It's the same composition from the last video that I did with the leaves along the shoreline. It's the exact same one, but this time it's just snow. There's no reflection though, sadly, because the wind did pick up. No color in the sky. That's all right. We got a strong foreground. We do have some sort of movement in the clouds for the long exposure, so it should turn out to be a pretty good image. I have to focus stack this one, and again I'm doing 2 images for my focus stack, one on the foreground and then one on the sky, which is always the long exposure version. The clouds now keep breaking up, so more light is coming in, and it's gorgeous. It's really, really nice. There's not the sunrise color anymore, but there's a really nice soft warm glow that is happening. And as I keep making my journey along to where I want to shoot over here on the other end, I am finding a lot of now pleasing things to shoot on my way over there. So it just goes to show that even though you've kind of came here, your plan didn't work out, your conditions changed, so you couldn't really shoot what you wanted, if you just stick with it and you just look around a little bit and you just find something else, you're definitely going to walk away with some images. So I have made it to the final scene that I wanted to shoot this morning. We got lots of nice warm light, still a lot of leaves. It is so tricky to shoot in this little area that I'm in. I'm basically tucked in between a bunch of trees and the dock because there's the dock and then there's all of the trees. All the leaves get trapped here. So there's just this mass amount of leaves that are in the water or along the shoreline. But it's very, very challenging to shoot. I'm actually really, really struggling because with this scene on the right-hand side of it, it does have to be shot vertically because there's just too much mess on the sides of it. But the trees to the right-hand side of the image are so tall and so dominating that you need something on the left to balance it out with. So I'm kind of like brainstorming in my mind what I can do. And I think because the light is coming from the left, I'm just really gonna focus on when I edit, focus on that light there, so at least that will be the brightest part of the image, and then everybody's eye will be drawn into that part of the scene rather than the dominating trees on the left hand side. It is definitely a focus stacked image. Super close to the foreground. I'm super close to the leaves in the water. So with this shot, because I always do long exposures, I love doing long exposures, but if I do a long exposure with the leaves in the water, you'll see the movement in them. So what I'm doing is shooting the leaves on their own, as it is a focus stacked image, so shooting the leaves on their own and then shooting the background as the long exposure. And then in the middle ground, there will be some of the long exposure water, but near the leaves won't be. So I'll have to do a hand blend when I blend this because I want the leaves in the front to be really, really sharp. And then I want it to kind of transition into the long exposure water. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it'll have to be done by hand when I blend this. I'll have to kind of just paint it in and just do it by eye rather than blend it through like focus stacking, the focus stacking software, or any other sort of method. Light is still gorgeous out. The wind is picking up. It's a little bit annoying. But it's been a really, really nice morning. I have definitely enjoyed coming out here again to shoot. So I shoot at multiple locations all of the time. This is definitely my thing. I've lived in Salmon Arm for about 7 years. Every year I go to the same places and they're always different results. No one has ever said, oh my gosh, you shoot there so much. So I highly encourage, if you have spots in your area locally for you, because obviously travel is down right now, then definitely keep revisiting those areas. You'd be surprised how much your photography skill grows, and just in general, you'll have different images each and every single time. Here are the final images that I shot from this morning's shoot. So the first one, we're going to go in order from what I shot in the video. So here's the first one, which is the reflection just before sunrise. This is basically as good as it was going to get, and I actually didn't end up having to use any filters for this. This is just bare camera face, so no filters. It was an 8-second exposure, and the clouds are moving. I'm not so sure how I feel about this image. I think maybe over time it'll probably grow on me. What I definitely like is the reflection, and I like the composition. I love the little island in the middle and then the trees on the right and the other mountain on the left. I think that's very pleasing to the eye. But of course, I think this shot would probably be better with a little bit different conditions in the clouds and with light. However, I do like the light in this. I just wish maybe a little bit more texture for the clouds and maybe a little bit more different color. So it's not my favorite, it's my least favorite image from the day. So the second image was taken as I was walking to the next location that I wanted to shoot. I didn't actually plan on photographing this. I just happened to see the snow patterns and I was like, hey, this might make a cool foreground, which it does. I think I could have executed this one a little bit better, maybe spent a little bit more time. I do like the little bit of the light that is coming in from the left, and I do like the snow patterns. I like comparing it with the other one, the fall image that I shot here, because they are basically about a week apart, so it's really interesting to see just how fast the conditions change. I did focus stack this image, and I actually didn't run it through the focus stacking in Photoshop. I hand blended it together. It was really simple. I just do a blend from basically the shoreline. It's really clean to be able to blend it that way. If for some reason when I was trying to put it together in the program, it just was not working out very well, and I think that's because of the long exposure water and the long exposure sky. But I only used 2 shots for this. I do like the light in the sky again, and I do like the moodiness of the sky. But one thing with snow, I will say, I'm sure people who live in Canada or anywhere where it's snowy, you can all agree that it can be really challenging to edit snow because it's white. So it can either end up looking a little bit too muddy or maybe a little too orange or blue. I often find in the wintertime editing snow is the biggest challenge with my images, and especially if there's snow on the sides of the frame because our eyes are drawn to what is white. So if your snow is too bright, it can really throw off your image and draw your eye to places that you don't want them to go. So the third and final image is actually my favorite image from the day. I will say right away that the trees on the right hand side I like the least. That is the part that doesn't work for me. I actually had a really challenging time editing those trees, but I don't think that it kills the image. I love the leaves in the water. My eye gets drawn right to the leaves, and that's where I spend the most time looking at. I love the light that is hitting them. I think for what I was shooting in, this image came out well because of all the distractions and the limitations that I had. And it's crazy how the first 2 images, they look so winter, just full on looks like it's winter. And then not even a few feet away, I get to shoot this image and it looks like a completely different season. I'm probably actually gonna go back because the leaves will still be there for probably another week until maybe things start freezing on the lake. And I'm gonna play around with this one a little bit more. I was thinking of shooting the leaves at 16, so shooting them as wide as I can, but shooting the background and maybe zooming in on that little island and shooting it at 35. If I am even adventurous enough, then maybe I'll put on another lens. I was thinking maybe even a 50. So there's definitely room with this composition to get a little creative, but this photo happens to be my favorite one of the day. Anyways, since I didn't bring Ollie out with me for this shoot, and I know you guys love seeing him, my last video was more popular than my last video where I said it was with landscape photography with Ollie was more popular than pretty much all of my other videos. So it's a safe bet to say that you guys love him. So what I'm going to show you today with some images is I'm just going to show you some of Ollie that I have taken over the years that are my personal favorite images of him. I hope that you guys subscribe, and as always, please like this video because it actually is really helping me. One cool thing is that someone let me know that YouTube was suggesting me to them, so that's very positive to know with my growth, and it's all because of you guys. Anyways, I will talk to you again next week. Bye!
Higher than the mountains we were never meant to climb.